instructor. Special increase, God, that you will open up doors that we have no room to receive, that will overflow, Father, that will overflow us, blessings. Jesus' name we bless you and praise you. Amen.
Amen. Amen. How everyone doing?
Excellent.
Good deal. I know you guys missed us. We missed y'all too, but we've been saying Lucia.
Rub it in.
Oh,
Show me my picture.
there you go.
So I missed you a little.
Yeah, we missed you a little bit. Smoking cigars, thinking like right now, they're actually having class.
So you were thinking about us.
Well, 4 days. Yeah, 4 days. Yeah.
I went Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah,
That's
Monday.
why-
Monday, yeah.
Monday.
That's why y'all look so sun-kissed.
Man, should
Yeah.
see me last week. All right, but I do know that even though in our absence, man, we were able to get you guys a great speaker and with Kaba and Mattel. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed them on the financial side. Good deal. So what we'll do right now, this is week 4 of the series, and I'm going to just basically just go overview, because one thing about it, again, just continue to just understand the origin, you know, for where we started to where we're at now, you know. So this will be a quick overview and a review. Hopefully we got those on the camera, those at home, they can hear us. But you already know, I know they didn't do it last week because I had the questions with me, but I'm gonna do it this week. All right. What are 4 questions that we need to ask ourselves when we're getting into this business or even in business? You know, if this is still something that we need to do. What's question number 1?
What are we doing this for?
What are we doing it for? Why am I doing this? All right. What's number 2? Anybody know?
God given me.
There you go. Does God give me guidance for this vision? You know, what's number 3?
What's your motivation?
That's motivation. And what are the 3 motivations that you remember?
Money.
Okay, that's 1. That's a matter of fact, that's number 1. Anybody else know?
Legacy,
Legacy.
that's another one too. What's it
Career change.
Career change.
Yeah.
Career change. And the reason why I said career change is because think about it, guys. You know, a lot of us in the corporate America or even in your career, if you were like 15 plus years into something, really, I'm gonna just be honest with you, because again, my background is with the HR side, you're aging out.
Aged out.
Yeah, I was being nice. So, brother, you're aging out, you know, and to his point, you're aged out. So it's almost to the point where it's like, you know, that funnel is getting even smaller with people who are 40 plus. You know what I mean? It's getting even smaller, you know, we'll keep it real with people who look like black and brown. You know what I mean? And so you gotta look at it in the standpoint, because theoretically now I could get the same services from you at a cheaper rate, and I can get more out of it because I put you with somebody who's 20 years younger than you. They got more dog than you do. You know, you got more knowledge, but guess what?
Let's say cheaper.
Their rate was upset. I'm gonna get cheaper, you know, cheaper rate, and I'm gonna get a lot more out of them. You know, so when you get to the point, it's like, oh, am I gonna fight to get another job? Or if I'm gonna go ahead and this last bit of energy I got, this last bit of knowledge I have, can I put this into something? You know, and right now, since COVID, I want to say there's been a record number of LLCs and corporations that have been started in the state of Georgia. And I'm sure Georgia's not the only state, you know, because really what happened is COVID stopped that wheel. You know what I mean? That wheel is like, okay, you go to school, you graduate, you go to college, to get a degree to go work for somebody. You know what I mean? It's funny, it's amazing how that concept is constantly passed down into our generation. And again, it's all about what we were just talking about, you know, the knowledge of. What if we actually put this in our kids? Because again, nobody in this room, I assume, had parents to say, you know, pretty much, or probably said that, go to school to get your degree, even though they didn't even get their degree.
Right.
You follow me? But it was like, okay, I want you to get something that I heard about or I thought about, and it was something greater than what I have. What if we just take that knowledge right now, if you got kids or grandkids, or will have kids at some point, just change that mindset. Go to school to get your degree, to learn, so now you can have your own business. And we actually put that mindset into these kids, that's the route they're gonna go. Everybody gonna sit up and try to go and make somebody else be great. They're gonna have to try to create their own. And then that's gonna be a legacy that carries on and so forth. So again, the last motivation is, the last question is, what do you guys, what would you say? What was the last question?
What's the end goal?
What's the end goal? So great. So, like I said, first week, this is just gonna be a recap and then we're gonna turn it over. Pretty much develop the business plan, the business idea. You know what I mean? That is the business idea. So if you haven't started your business, those are at home as well. Again, make sure that you develop the business idea. Now write up the business plan, Number 3 is basically choose a business structure. Then of course, once you've done that, then now you got to register your business. And then theoretically with that, you kind of think about, okay, is it going to be an LLC? Is it going to be a corporation, sole proprietor, that's so forth and so on. Then you set up the business finances, From there, you want to build a team. Now, who are the 2 people that you probably want to stay away from when you build your team? There you go. There you go. There you go. How you gonna fire your mom? And then after that, you want to launch your business. So once you got that, you want to launch your business. All right. Week 2, what we talked about, let's see, 4 to 5 things that basically at this point, now that you got the business going, these are the things in which you need to make sure that you sustain it. And that is having that growth mindset. Got to be able to, have that growth mindset, And when I say growth mindset, you got to think big, guys. You got to think big. I had a barber one time that said, man, I want to be like you. I said, you can't be like me. And he got offended. And I said, he's like, why you say that? I said, because you think too small. I said, I bet you when you pray, your prayer sounds something like, man, I wish I had enough money for gas. He started laughing because he was like, man, I prayed that this morning. I said, that's cool. I said, but what my prayer sound like? He said, what? I said, Lord, I asked you to give me enough for a gas station. And I said, you know what? The funny thing about it, he said, what? God answered both our prayers. Simple as that. You know what I mean? So you got to have that growth mindset. You can't look at where you are. You got to look at where you're going. Then, all right, the scaling. Okay, now that I have a growth mindset, I'm going to build this thing out. And then of course, we talked about scaling too fast. The pitfalls of not being able to scale when it's time. Now all these orders come, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? We got too many people, ain't got enough orders. So again, just being able to, measure that, and then of course, we want to, talk about promoting the business. We'll talk about a lot of that today, with the marketing piece, how do we want to promote the business? And then of course, we talked about the maintaining of the business. So again, as you guys see, we covered a lot in a very short period of time. And of course, last week, I know that we talked a lot about the finances, which again, that's quintessential why you do business. You know what I mean? And the good thing about that is that, Kava is a member of the church, so again, he's doing this for a lot of big companies. You guys are getting this right here free. You know what I mean? He charges for what he did, but again, that's the beauty of having these talents and these resources right here. So I'm glad to see that you guys are still, staying a part of it. So right now we come full circle to, week for the last 3 weeks. So now we're going to go in and talk about marketing the business, which is, a real big piece right here. And Brother James Hoyle is going to take it over from there because I know y'all tired of hearing my voice. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over. Oh, and I'm gonna take this, see if I can learn something.
Good evening. Right, so, first thing I want to do is make sure that those of you who are visiting us online, be sure to ask any questions in the chat. Jesse is monitoring the chat. So make sure if you have questions, you ask them. First of all, repeat after me. Plan, execute, analyze, repeat. Say it again. Plan, execute, analyze, repeat. That is the basis for any marketing program that you're going to put in place. All right. So, and it is an iterative process. It continues to evolve over time as your business continues to evolve. Ronnie I'm glad you did that recap, because a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight is, how you grow your business, and you grow your business primarily through marketing. So a lot of what, let me just preface this before we kind of jump in. A lot of what we're gonna talk about tonight, a lot of these topics can take up to an hour on their own, easily. But we're gonna keep this at a marketing 101 level, with the idea being at a later date, through the business ministry, we're gonna offer some more in-depth classes. As a matter of fact, someone came in today, Jesse, and asked if we could offer a 6-hour Saturday master class on marketing and other things. So that, those.
You're trying to get a degree from the mercy.
I know, right? I know.
Just Lord. The whole money, man. More money.
We gotta get an accreditation up here.
Will there be some tithing?
We'll have to bless the house some kind of way. But to be honest with you, a lot of that is what we're gonna offer through the business ministry, right? So tonight, the whole purpose of tonight is just kind of get us all speaking the same language and to get us all on the same page when we start thinking about a marketing practice. You notice I keep saying marketing practice because we're a lot of entrepreneurs and even small, even medium-sized businesses, where they make the mistake is they start trying to market without even having a goal or having a go-to-market plan or anything like that. Somebody told them they need to create Facebook ads, so they started creating Facebook ads. Somebody said, hey, create videos and put them on YouTube. Okay, who's your target? What are you really going for? And the fruits of those efforts were none because they didn't have a goal, they didn't have a plan in place, right? So if we don't get through all of this content, I got a lot here. If we don't get through all of it today, we'll go through the rest of it in a later session, or like I said, through the business ministry. So I want to go around the room real quick because I want to understand what types of businesses you guys have either started or are in the process of starting. So we can kind of speak to those things, because some of you have products that you're trying to sell. Some of you have services that you're trying to offer. Some of you are offering those to consumers, some of you are offering those to businesses. So I want to make sure as we go through this conversation, we're kind of angling it in a way that kind of fits for everyone. So.
Okay, well, my name is Joyce, everybody, and my business. I have a product and administrative side. So gift baskets is my that's my baby. That's my what I really am trying to focus on right now. But again, like you said, trying to grow it, Facebook and, people say I'm open a website and all that kind of stuff. I don't have the set up the capacity to handle that right now, but one-on-one, that's working for me right now. But again, planning to grow and looking at different ways to do different things with it. And then on the administrative side, I heard think about, you said you had HR experience. Okay, so that's my background is in human resources as well. So on the administrative side, some training and ADR. So there's a lot of things that HR consultant, things like that.
Okay, well, could you repeat the name of your product again or service?
My baskets they're gift baskets. They're designed specifically for the person that you're giving it to. So it's not like you're supposed to be able to buy it off the shelf. You tell me special things about the person that you're giving that gift to, things that they like, and I'll design a basket catered to them.
Cool.
The name of my business is Jazzy by Design.
Okay, all right, nice.
Everybody make a note of that. Yes, sir. What's your business? What are you trying to do?
So Mo, and so I'm pivoting. I'm in the process of pivoting on my logistic business. And I've been pulled back into opening back up one of my IT consulting firm. So those two things, and I'm actually looking at how to combine those two things. That's what I'm looking at.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
We'll come back to that in a minute. All right, sir. What's your business? What are you doing?
I don't have one.
Okay.
I had a salon, hair salon. My stylist went back when I had a lot of hair. She asked me if I knew of anyone who might help her to open up her own business. And I said, I might have some fraternity brothers who help you out. She said she had a business plan from people who would help her design it at her church. And I said, well, let me see that plan. I looked through it. I said, wow, I think I could do this on my own. So I contacted her. I told her I could, fund it. We do a partner. We did. And we bought it, got it started, and then the economy tanked. But I found out that even with the tank and the hair salons are still almost economy tanking proof, almost. We went well, and we still broke even by the second year, and then started to excel, and she bought me out.
Yeah, people still want to look good.
Even in death.
Hair product, hair services is really recession proof. I mean, in the Great Depression, the number 3 tariff in the United States was Madam C.J. Walker's hair products and makeup. Everybody, even before eating, they wanted to look good about themselves. So makeup and hair products is number 3 tariff. That's why she's a multi-millionaire, just making people feel good.
Wow. I have 2 businesses, haven't just started. One is called All Right. Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Judy
Okay.
with an I.
Sign language extraordinary.
Well, I help you know. First business is All Right in the Morning, MOURNING. I am a grief coach, and a counselor for those who've lost loved ones. My target audience is primarily women, but I kind of feel I did what you said and asked the Lord, what would you have me to do? And it's kind of broadened, it's just helped my people that are grieving, not to niche it down, but it is an age range between 30 and 60. And it's primarily kind of Christians to understand it's the plan of the Lord. It's our transition to get there. So let me help you through the grieving process. The other business is Holy Written. It's WHOLLY written. And that kind of came out of because of a hobby where people would always ask me to write things for them. Would you please, I need you to do my resume. Can you do this? Can you do that? And so I started it, and the Lord gave me the title years ago. I didn't do anything with it until I came here to Georgia, and I went on it, trying to get it trademarked and everything now to start doing things. And I do just a little bit of writing for those who ask, small churches, prior supervisors, prior bosses, and let's do it.
Cool. You want to talk about your businesses?
No, we can be on that.
Yeah.
There's somebody on Zoom who wanted to come off this mute and say their business.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's on the main one, can they?
You can do it on yours, right?
All right.
Is that one?
You know what?
You might have.
It's speaker,
Yeah.
Yeah, where's the mute button?
So.
All right.
If you come off mute.
Are they off mute? They'll put your-
Yeah, she's off.
Let her know she can talk.
All right, math lady, go ahead. If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Yeah, just turn the volume up. Unmute.
Hey, testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Okay, there we go.
No, that was just me. I was just making sure it was working on our end. This is Vaughn.
Oh, okay. All right, math lady. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening there, but we can't hear you.
Can she type a question?
Can you type it into the chat, please?
May not be,
She's off of mute, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, she's not on mute.
We'll just tell her to, for the sake of time, just type it in.
Yeah, for the sake of time, go ahead and just type it into the chat, and we'll get Jesse to kind of read it off. I want to get into the content here.
Yeah. You go ahead.
All right, we'll come back to that. All right, so a lot of what I'm gonna talk about is it's gonna sound a little corporate, but understand that these are general marketing principles.
Oh, no,
Okay.
she hasn't typed it yet, so.
These are general marketing principles that can be used at scale, right? These are things that everybody needs to think about. So before you begin a marketing practice, what's the number one thing you need to know?
demographics.
Of your target audience.
Your audience.
Target audience. Exactly. That's the good answer. So if you're talking about a B2C business, yes, ma'am,
And well, I want to say that that can change. Because
absolutely.
I didn't know my target audience until, my
Yeah.
access to products started evolving. So it started at one level when the concept just started. So I was like, okay, let's start this. But then as I kept going, things changed and the basket step. So my target, audience changed along with, I would say the scaling or the concept change of the business. So it went from one to another.
And that's actually, you actually stole one of my bullet points, right? So what your target are and what we're gonna, we're really talking about a buyer persona, right? So, and that's a hypothetical view of what your best customer looks like, right? What your target customer looks like. So if for gift baskets, you're looking for people who are in the gift giving business. You're looking for maybe people who are in a corporate environment that want to give gifts or awards to different people. When you start talking about resumes, you're looking for job seekers, right? So it's really sitting down and writing out what that ideal customer profile kind of looks like. And when you start talking about offering your services, you start talking about offering your services to businesses, we shift that a little bit. We call that an ideal customer profile, an ICP, because now you're talking about the types of companies that would best benefit from your business, right? Like take my business, for example, Sun Rock Consulting. Part of what we do is marketing, with a lot of marketing consulting, right? So, and we target companies, small and medium-sized companies with a revenue of $100,000 or less, with small marketing partners, so 2 to 3 people in their marketing department. Because those are the companies that I personally can go in and help the best. And what's crazy about this, without preparing this for you guys, a lot of this, God bless me with a lot of things around my ideal customer profile, what I need to be doing. So it's crazy when you're preparing for somebody else, the things that he'll bless you with, right? It doesn't hurt that you got somebody like him in your ear all the time. So, thank you for not saying I told you. But that's one arm. The other arm is providing resource acquisition for technology companies. So very similar to what you're doing. I do that through a partnership with one of his companies, as a matter of fact. But understanding that my ICP is small to medium, $100,000 or less. That's what I feel I have the bandwidth to do now. Now, where am I going? There's a plan for where I'm going, because I have a lot of friends in the industry who wouldn't mind doing 1099 work for me for other companies. We start getting into some really heavy consulting work. So that, to your point, your ICP, your ideal buyer persona is going to shift over time as your business grows, right? Because one thing we've been talking about is how do we scale, right? And the other thing is understanding your TAM, your total addressable market. So do I have a finite customer base? Is there going to come a time where there's nobody else for me to sell my product to or offer my service to? Or do you have a quantifiable client base, right? Because understanding these things, all of this is going to drive you to how you build your marketing practice, right? So, and it's also something, Kitty, got to think about, back to one of those things of why am I in business? Nobody wants to only be in business for a limited amount of time, right? We want to make sure, or you want to at least put some thought into who am I offering my product or service to, and is this something that I can grow, right? Selling a product, of course, that can absolutely grow. And we're going to talk about ways you do that. We're going to talk about even diversifying those products. Like she's doing gift baskets right now, but she might decide to diversify and start doing T-shirts as well, or doing other types of awards like cups or whatever, right? So it's about how you diversify as you move forward. What's the second thing you need to know before starting marketing practice? Pretty easy. Think 5%. Anybody,
Well,
just
product place and product price in place.
we're getting there. We're getting there. That's part of your go-to-market strategy. We're getting there. Budget, right? It's very important. There is absolutely a budget to marketing. Now, when I say that, the first thing I want to make sure you guys understand, it's not insurmountable, right? Your marketing budget can be commensurate to the size of your business, right? And your budget's not always money, sometimes it's time as well, right? So how much time, if you don't have a lot of money to do like real mass consumer marketing, and if you're not ready for that, which most businesses aren't, when they kind of jump into sending emails and all that stuff, and plus they don't have the data to do that, which we'll come back to that in a minute. It's all about your effort, it's all about your time, right? So there's definitely a budget to marketing. And you have to manage to that budget. Whatever you decide you're gonna spend on marketing, you gotta make it up in your mind early on. This is our budget, we're gonna stick to it. No matter what brand new pie in the sky thing somebody comes to me with that says this is the next great silver bullet thing that you gotta do, with no matter what new social media site pops up, like all of a sudden Snapchat popped up out of nowhere and now you barely hear about it anymore, right? Stick to your budget. You must have a quantitative way, this is important, of understanding your ROI, your return on investment against that budget. Right? So in other words, understand your metrics. Now, what do I mean by that? For example, what is the cost of acquiring a customer? Right? We call that customer acquisition cost. That's basically the total amount spent on sales and marketing over a period divided by the number of customers acquired during that period. That's your customer acquisition cost.
You get that one more time?
The total number spent on sales and marketing over a period of time divided by the total number of customers acquired during that time. Why is your customer acquisition cost important? Because as you move forward, as you start offering different incentives for people to become a customer, you start creating your loyalty program, understanding your customer acquisition costs, and also understanding your target lifetime value of a customer. It's going to be important to keep you profitable, right? Because you got to know what your expenses are before you start just giving stuff away, right? So you see a lot of companies out there, hey, you buy 5 baskets from me, you get a basket free. Well, your metrics may not call for a free basket. Quick question, average cost of your baskets are what?
It depends, it's various, because it depends on what's in it, and how it's custom was designed for, so.
Do you know what your costs are associated on each basket?
And it varies.
$20. I bought a basket down in South Lake Mall, down in what you call it mall for $20 gift set.
So once you understand your customer acquisition costs, once you understand your total lifetime value targets, instead of giving a basket away free, you may say you get $10 off a basket. But all of that is important to understand, because at the end of the day, all of that kind of comes out of your marketing budget. You start talking about loyalty and incentives and things that you're giving away, that's all of that needs to be accounted for in your marketing budget.
Okay, can you go back over what, it was the total something divided by what?
Your customer acquisition cost,
Yeah, that-
it's the total number spent on sales and marketing over a period of time divided by the total number of customers acquired during that time. You know what, let's pause it for a second, because when I say right. Okay. I'll give you an example. Nike versus Adidas, right? Back in the day, Adidas was all about urban wear. They were all about connecting grassroots. Nike was purely about running, right? Somebody give me another one. Like companies.
Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
Coca-Cola and Pepsi. There, two products that differentiate and you get one or the other. Nobody drinks both. Right? Good example. Anybody, give me another.
McDonald's and Burger King.
McDonald's and Burger King. Now, they got you in trouble. You better stay off McDonald's. They got you in trouble. You better stay off McDonald's.
He ain't got no fan.
All right.
Go.
So the way you position your brand, that can be conveyed through tone and voice, right? So let's talk about Wendy's versus McDonald's for a minute, right? So when I was younger, McDonald's target audience was people who had kids and people who needed a place to take their kids to feed them and to have them play. And they also targeted birthday parties, because you used to be able to go to McDonald's and get a 5-gallon container of high C orange to take to your birthday party, right? Wendy's targeted older people. Wendy's was the first place you can go get 3 pieces of meat on one burger. Big boy like me loved it. And Wendy's tripled it, right, with a frosty and fries. So that was two different brand positionings. Now, the crazy thing about McDonald's is as their customer base has aged, they're now like, hey, what's your McDonald's order? So now they're going back to targeting older people now, and a lot of it late night older people who want to come through and still have that quarter pounder with cheese again, right? So to your point, it shifts over time. It's also conveyed through visual design, again, Nike versus Adidas. And this is a huge one. It's also conveyed by the way your company represents itself on social media. Okay. That's a huge one. Now, one of the mistakes that I see a lot of people make when they're first starting a company, they start promoting that company on their personal page. Do not promote your company on your personal page. You set up a page for your business, right? And you dictate on that page what type of comments, or if you want people to leave comments, and I'm gonna tell you now you do, we'll come back to that in a minute. But you keep a separation between personal and business when it comes to social media. We'll dive into that a little bit more later. We're doing the time. Wow. Brand awareness. All right, so brand awareness is the extent to which people are able to recall and recognize your brand. I've seen a lot. Let's go back to my friend who makes the soaps, right? When she first started selling soaps, she was just wrapping them in plastic, had her husband go to the printer, put whatever the scent of the soap was on it, the name of her company, slap the label, put it up. Plain white label, black letter. How am I going to differentiate her brand from anybody else who's selling soaps at the farmer's market, right? How am I going to recognize her brand if she does start doing some advertising on social media? How am I going to recognize her brand? It's plain black label, plain white label with black letter, right? Great product, but you're not really promoting that product in a way that that will resonate with people, right? We're visual, right? We recognize brands, we recognize labels, we connect with brands, right? We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. Part of your brand awareness is brand recall. So when we start talking about a particular class of products, how well does your brand resonate in that class of products? We just talked about it a few minutes ago. You're talking about soda. What brand comes to mind? Almost Coke. Okay. We're talking. See, you're up in my mind, and that's okay. Where are you from? Drinkers. We forgive you.
Otherwise, you just say, wow.
Yep. So that's brand recognition. So we're gonna play a little game here real quick to talk about brand recognition. Let me see here. Let me go back to here. Let me share my screen. Okay. I was doing earlier today. Which, by the way, that's a logo I had created recently for not a lot of money. Where's he? Oh. Here.
And, for the finance.
That's what
Mhm.
Well, you know, we can probably scan it in and email it here, but.
Yeah, and on the one for the CPA, if you would have any comments.
All right.
Okay, thank you. I'll give you mine. I'll give you mine.
Can everybody, yep, I can see they see it on the Zoom. So let's identify these logos real quick. And now we're talking about brand recognition, right? So
McDonald's.
easy one, right? Low hanging fruit.
Mercedes.
Mercedes-Benz,
That's right.
New
New Mercy.
Oh, well.
That's, hey, listen, that's real, right? The church has created a brand for itself. And we continue to create brands for ourselves in every season. Like what's our most recent brand we've created?
Thrive.
Thrive. Our brand a few months ago was Sustain, because that we were celebrating the church anniversary, right? But that's a brand that resonates not just within the church, all right? But when you go out to YouTube, you can type any of these things in and our ministry pops up.
So you can consider those events or you can consider those marketing?
Absolutely,
I have no idea.
absolutely. Anything that promotes your organization or your business is considered marketing, right?
Oh, okay.
And that's what we're gonna talk about here in a little bit when we start talking about marketing execution. One of the things the church has done a great job of is making content available on YouTube,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Well, I thought you all, the church bought Thrive and the other.
You thought we bought it,
Yeah,
like trademarked it?
purchase it from someone else, like, say, for example, in the high schools,
Mhm.
there are band directors who will go looking and they'll find something and say, okay, we'll purchase the Sound of Music, and then they'll send us the sheet music, they'll send us the play
Yeah.
stuff,
I don't-
drama departments, they'll send us the play.
You know exactly what you're talking about. I don't think that's the case. I mean,
But Thrive's not?
no, because what Pastor's done, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he gets, God kind of puts different series on his heart to share with us.
Mhm.
And those series get labeled as Thrive, as Sustained, as, you go back down through the history of the church. These are series that the pastor has just decided to put together. They're themes, right? So they're not packages that he's going out and buying and then presenting to everybody.
Oh, wow.
These are things that God's putting on his heart to share with the congregation
Okay.
for a particular season that we're in. Right?
Yeah, you think about like how they do it like Vacation Bible School.
You're thinking about commissioned packages, right?
Yeah.
No, that's not what those things are. Those are themes
Original.
those are original themes that God's put on pastor's heart that we've branded.
Wow.
Right? And that we found a way to make resonate on social and on YouTube. Pretty cool, huh?
So the church could actually package them and sell them out to other churches.
That's a whole nother conversation. And that actually used to be what we did when we had the bookstore. So those series would get packaged up in a set of tapes or CDs, and people could buy them, or they could buy individual messages. Bookstore anymore, we got away from that. So, but now with digital, we need to think, anyway, don't stop, because you're gonna get me in trouble. If you don't get me in trouble. All right, so let's continue. Toyota, good one.
Chanel.
I knew, I said, the woman's gonna get that.
The women gonna get
They
it.
said, I knew the woman was gonna get that, I promise you. Yeah, and she said it fast.
Quick, if she didn't just say Chanel,
She said,
oh,
"Coco."
yeah. Understand.
No, I knew the woman was gonna get that.
You know what? I didn't even know what it was.
I knew what it was, but I knew it wasn't gonna get that.
Yeah, is that excellent?
Why not choose that one amongst all those others? Because it's a local brand that started small, that built up, right, to what they are today.
Why do they have the R on that?
Because that's a registered trademark.
So they don't, okay.
That's what it is. It's a criminal
It's
portrayal.
number for registered trademark. Yep.
No one else can use it.
So what is the main difference? So you'll see an R on some stuff. I guess you might
Well,
see a
Steve,
D.
copyright is different from
So I know copyright, and trademark. What is the main difference between copyright and trademark? Or I'm sorry, copyright or trademark or registered? And which ones do you want your logo to be?
So copyrights are general, and I'm gonna let you talk about this more so than me, but you usually have copyrights on intellectual property. So if you have like writings, right, that are unique writings,
Like a script or?
song, song,
Yes.
things like that, you wanna make sure you copyright them so that no one else can steal them, right?
Mhm.
Your registered trademarks, there's actually a couple of different levels of trademark. You can have a trademark that's registered in the state only, or you can have a national trademark that's registered.
Yeah, trademarks, you wanna, again, the more bandwidth you have with trademark, the more expensive it is, but the more exclusivity you will have to it. And it is what it is, your trademark, so theoretically, you don't want anyone to, if you go to the Bronner Brothers and you see this logo here, and then what if they would just take the circle off?
Mhm.
And then now that could be Bad Boys. But yet, to the point right now, the same script, same scribble or whatever, people have seen this Bronner Brothers for over 40 years. They already assume, but yet I take the circle off and then now I'm still able to brand, so now I'm going off of your hard work. I'm now
So
benefit-
trademark.
the trademark protects that for the mere fact, and then on top of that, what people try to do with a trademark, typically, they try to go 30% differentiating. When you got like we got a trademark and I try to tweak it 30%, like instead of making the script, I can make it more block, but it's still kind of pushing any good attorney can get away with that. But in the same token, it is a differentiator of the mark. So you want to actually be able to trademark, so that way now, anything that looks remotely close to this, I could get you to cease and desist and take that down. Or any money that you actually make after the cease and desist, then I actually have committed damages.
So logos you register and trademark.
Well, I mean, you will register a logo, but the trademark, the circle R, is you can register it.
Yeah,
You follow me? What that means is that now I'm in use of it, but until you trademark it, you don't own it.
Okay.
and the R is a registered trade,
Yeah,
right? So they don't put a T with a circle, it's an R for registered trade.
yeah.
R is a service mark.
I'm sorry, what you say?
R is a service mark from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. I've had one of those over 10 years.
Yep.
Mhm.
Now, the other thing about this, the cool thing about, I want you to think about what Ronnie just said a second ago. When we start talking about brand recognition, if you deviate from that logo 30%, the consumers of that product are gonna know it's not Bronner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna know it's counterfeit. So that's why brand recognition and promoting your brand the right way and having a view, having a place for your brand is important, right? Because you want people to know your product, because here's the thing, if you're successful, when you're successful, you're gonna get copied. Right. If somebody else sees you being profitable at what you're doing, they're gonna come after your business, right? They're gonna try to do exactly what you do because there's people out there who aren't having these conversations about why you're in business. All right, you're doing a good job building houses. I can build houses too. You're a subcontractor. I can call people and have people fix stuff too, right? So you got to make sure that you have great brand recognition, and you got to also make sure that you continue to evolve your business too. So that's a conversation for another day. So we got a few more of these, and there's one I want to get to in particular, so we can have a conversation about it.
Apple.
Apples.
Oh,
Oh, man.
That's what it looks like.
They just got sued though.
That's
Who did?
The guy who did, because they took the photo and they were trying to
Foley?
sue them, because they said you took our photo. You didn't offer us any money.
So the guy that designed it actually passed away like
Yeah.
months before the movie got released.
So that was
Wow.
fun
But
too.
so when we talk about the power of marketing, here's an interesting fact about Nike. Do you know how much of the basketball market Nike owned before the Air Jordan 1?
I think I'm
6%. The leaders in the basketball shoe market at that time were Adidas and Converse, right?
What's it something?
The other thing is prior to
That's what the trademark is like. Go ahead, man.
prior to the Air Jordan, the most money that Nike had ever made on any one product, on any one shoe was $1 million. Any one shoe. none of their products prior to the Air Jordan made any more than $1 million. Nike now owns 86% of the performance market, 96% of the lifestyle market. And the Air Jordan 1 made $140 million just off of brand positioning, because what do? Whereas everybody else associated their athletes with, like Dr. J was associated with, the Chucks, right? Even when Magic and Bird did the weapons, the weapon was already a shoe. They just put their name on it. They made their product front and center. Well, because Jordan wanted to actually, or the people at Nike wanted individuals to connect. They wanted you and I to connect with the Jordan brand. They made it about someone that we loved and endeared, and that was Michael Jordan. If you don't know the history, you wouldn't even know there was a Nike shoe. Now, anybody who's a shoe head, right? A sneaker head, they know Jordan brand is Nike, but they made it about him. So from that marketing, that shoe made $140 million when it was first released. Now look at Nike. And this is older, but Nike now has 61% of the market as opposed to 6% of the market. Adidas only 17%. The Jordan brand by itself has 10%, almost as much as a whole brand, a whole other company, right?
I know.
Yeah, Under Armour is 5%. This is a couple of years old, but the point is, these types of results get driven off of solid marketing practices, solid branding, solid brand recognition. So everything we've just recently talked about, these are the types of results that get driven from those things.
Hey, James,
Yes.
real quick. Hey, also Nike now has exclusive rights to the NBA.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I learned that last week at a conference. They have exclusive rights. So everything that the NBA uses is Nike.
Wow, didn't know that. That's odd because everybody's endorsed by a different brand. So interesting. Okay.
But that may be just individual endorsements and not necessarily.
Yeah, they don't have to hear what the NBA dictates, but to that point, in 2022, they did 29.1 billion in basketball shoe sales, starting with a product that generated $140 million.
I'm not a marketing major. I wish I kind of was, but I was wondering if anybody could tell me, after watching the movie with Jordan and everything, hasn't Nike or any of the others marketed, blasted the idea that Adidas started out with created by the Nazis?
Right, that's a great that's a great question.
That would devastate Adidas, like cut their market probably in at least a third. And
But how would that make Nike look?
Right.
I'm not saying Nike has.
Whoever.
No,
But you're talking about attack marketing.
yeah.
Which the thing you got to be careful about with attack marketing is it makes
You will get attacked.
you will get, first of all, you will get attacked. Second of all, because they're going to come back at you. Second of all, it makes the person doing the attacking look, is your product so subpar that you got to attack somebody else?
But
to
that's
make it look better?
That's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is the way they did it. Well, the way it occurred back in the day. All of a sudden, Tommy Hilfiger was the big thing. Then we started finding out Tommy Hilfiger was making anti-statements against black folks wearing his clothes.
That was the
Rappers come out with a song. It could have been, yo, you need to write, it could have been a corporate saying, did you write this song? Nobody knows. And it's an attack on the slide.
But guess what though? None of those companies that have that primary market share did what you're talking about, yet you still know those facts. You think you're the only one that knows?
No, I know.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you have to be very, very careful. You want to be, and plus of all, on top of that, let's remember why we're here ultimately. That's not the godly way to do things.
Well, for us, yeah, I'll just wonder why the competition didn't.
Because they had a product that stood it up on its own to the point where it got them to $29.1 billion in sales a year. They didn't have to do that. Why? Because they got that's in their mind, they're like, that's petty. People are gonna find that out anyway. Let's focus on who we are. Let's make sure you recognize our brand. Let's make sure you connect with our brand.
on top of that, their brand shows a character about them. The people it's wholesome, it's good, it's family. So to belittle someone else, it's not the time. You fall in the ditch along with the person.
No, because.
I understand what you're saying.
For us, I understand, but
Right.
in straight business, that's a perfect. They do that all the time.
I mean, so let me,
They do it all the time. McDonald's, Burger King.
well, they did that recently, but
Where's the
how did,
beef?
well, that's right. So it's subtle without necessarily saying that, they putting soybeans in their patties, but again, that information got out. But think about last year when Popeye tried to attack
Right.
Chick-fil-A. What was a lot of people's perception of that?
Okay.
Very petty.
People still about Chick-fil-A.
It's right, yeah. And what happened in that instance too, back to something I said earlier. Popeyes made this big stink about, we got a chicken sandwich too, and guess what? That sandwich was good. It was good, but guess what? It was good when you could get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Couldn't scale.
They couldn't
Yeah, they're game.
They couldn't, the demand they generated, they couldn't have it. And here's the thing, whether it be true or false, all of a sudden, Chick-fil-A was supporting Republicans, they supporting Trump. Whether it be true or false, it somehow got out there on social media, and now all of us went running straight to Popeyes just to stand in line for hours to get up there and say, well, we can get you a 2-piece. We ain't got no sandwich.
Just to go back to Chick-fil-A.
Just to go back to
You're exactly right.
And guess what? Chick-fil-A never said a word.
Only word.
And did their lines get any shorter?
No,
They got
they
bigger,
got longer.
wider.
And they got more efficient. What they did was they focused on them. They're like, okay, you keep talking about that. We're gonna figure out a way to make this drive-through more efficient. We're gonna put some people out in these lines with iPads taking your orders.
We're gonna do some mac and cheese.
We're gonna do some mac and cheese. We're gonna give you these different shakes, doing different seasons. We're gonna make it easy for you to consume our brand.
What's sad is Chick-fil-A, they do enough studying, they probably sat back and started to see the effects and said, actually, this is benefiting us. Because now we're getting there's a big plus, a push on a spicy chicken, and they're not scaled up enough to deal with it. So people are coming to us off of the fact they can't get us a chicken sandwich.
But I just believe
That's
Chick-fil-A
crazy.
they've always thought ahead above, and I just believe because they're Christians. That
I was gonna say,
the Lord,
right.
and their plan is long,
The long game.
yeah, and it's,
long game.
and I think, and their customer service is
Yeah.
high.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
They are my pleasure.
Right.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you go to them, how many of us had a bad day, we pulled up that drive-through, your order was wrong? And that young lady, that young man still looked at you and said, oh, I'm sorry, sir, my pleasure.
Right, and then I have to say for the person behind me, you make me feel so.
You don't want to argue, it's like, all right.
But a lot of it is because, again, they're a Christian-based company, they've also stuck to their values, right?
Amen.
They did not, when everybody else was open on Sunday, and I can tell you how many times I didn't pull up, man, I would meet you. Sunday after church, pulling up, like, oh, but you gotta respect them for it, right? Okay, it's 8:00. So I got one more brand I want to show you, and there's a reason why I'm gonna do this, right? That response right there. That response right there.
Oh, it's so good.
So let's talk about this brand, because a lot of what I'm talking about, you guys are like, man, I'm not ready for that. I'm not in a position for that, right? You know how she started? You know how she started this brand? Now, this is crazy. She started out with food truck, right? And she was just on social media. What did she do on social media? She created an identity for her brand, right? On social media, to the point where people connected with it. As her food truck went from place to place, she would go out on social media and say, hey, we're gonna be here this day, we're gonna be here tomorrow, here's our schedule, come see us. The next thing you know, she got multiple food trucks in multiple locations. They're putting that information out there. Every time you go to that food truck, the line is a mile long.
Is it still that way?
Oh.
Okay, I
Yeah,
don't know.
no.
I've never been.
She got a store now.
So now she has, so then she goes from that, and listen, the whole reason we're talking about this is because what I want you guys to connect with is, damn, I can do that too, excuse me. Dang, I can do that too, right? I can do that too, right? Because she started out very, very grassroots, right? Going to different events, going to, utilizing social media to make her presence known, right? To connect with people, right? Now she has stores. And the stores, you go to any of the stores, when they first open up, people are standing in line down the street, around the corner. And a lot of them are in that line because, not because of what they know, but because of what they heard, right? They've heard she has a great product. Not a vegan. As a matter of fact, anytime somebody approaches me with an idea about having a vegan meal, I'm like, absolutely not. I'm a carnivore. I eat meat. I'm not doing it. However, my cousin, who's in the music industry, was asked to come to their restaurant to take some pictures and promote their business. So I just happened to be with him, so we got a chance to go through the back door. I had to stand in line. Let me tell you how good that sandwich was. That first location, that first location was just a carryout location. There was no place to sit in this restaurant. And the line is around the corner. People are sitting in their cars on the side of the street eating this food. To the point now where she has like 10 locations across 2 states, between New York and Georgia. I told that story to make a point that with great marketing, with not a lot of, because you didn't hear me talk about her spending a lot of money to promote this business. It is 2 things. She did a great job promoting and she provided a great product at scale. Write that down. Write that down.
I'm sorry.
She did a great job promoting and she provided a great product at scale. So she met her demand.
Anybody know her name?
Pinky
Hoyle.
She
got married, though. She married.
She married Big, was Big Dave.
Right. So for those of us who are carnivores, we go to Big Dave's.
He sounds.
Yeah. People from Philly don't really even like those cheesesteaks, right?
But I think you know one big part of it out too, though.
Mhm.
You said promotion,
Mhm.
the product,
Mhm.
but the service. Because when I walked up into the store, she took, and the thing I really want to put, I would push to a lot of people, she took our culture and used it to promote the product. I walked into the door and I heard some trap music or whatever was going on, and girls was back there dancing like, yo,
Like your food.
and it's like, oh, welcome to the vegan. Oh, and I was like, I feel like I'm in a club and I'm about to get some good to eat. I'm like, this is awesome. And it was so much fun. It was so awesome. They looked like they were having fun cooking.
Yeah, that's the experience.
How she got the name?
Well, people tell us it wouldn't work, but it's incredible.
Well, she got the name to start with. It sells, it sells, and if you've never seen her, you won't see her advertise her menu because all of her products have explicit names. Yeah.
So the first time I went in, that was the reason why, was because I heard so much about it, and I went for the experience. And again, I vegan, but I tried it, and the one thing I do go back, because I'm not a vegan, but I go back for the vanilla cream soda that they sell. That they sell that you can't get. Remember back in the day with the Johnny Girl, you can't get nowhere. They got it. So I go back just for me a soda, but I go.
That's awesome. So let me ask y'all a question. Why can't your brand be just as recognized? Why can't it? She did it with not a lot of effort. Bunner Brothers. You think they thought this deeply about how they were gonna market their products 40 years ago? No. But they created a recognizable brand. Now, what does it cost to create a brand? Y'all might have seen the logo I had on the screen a minute ago as I was kind of flipping through my undergrad chapter, getting ready to have our 50th anniversary. I got a logo created for that for $70 on Fiverr. Fiverr, you can go out on Fiverr and have a freelance graphic designer create a logo for you, create your social media branding, create an entire branding template that you can use across social, print, however you want to use it for under $100. That's FIVER.
And I found somebody that was just like my daughter's cheerleading squad. There was they was doing t-shirts or something, and I don't even remember, but he did it, it was like $40-50.
Right. You can get somebody to create a logo for you for not a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point. That's the point I'm trying to make to you, is that this does not cost a lot of money to create your presence.
Once they do it, don't they have to release everything to use it if they can't pick it up and use it? Like,
Yeah, once,
Do what you want, and then that's a good point. You want to make sure that it's not assumed. You want to make sure that you have something in writing that says you created this and the services provided. Now, I own all intellectual property. Write that down. I own all intellectual property.
right,
Because again, like you said, if you don't do that, then theoretically, if it does become a Slater Vegan or a Brother Brothers, they technically have the rights and privileges to the brand. Technically, you'll be paying them,
exactly.
releasing your brand.
Right.
so now, once you have that logo and that brand created, what do you need to do? Let's talk about this.
Is that advertising?
So registered or
Red,
True.
Protected.
Protect it. There you go. Good answer. You gotta get that thing trademarked. You gotta protect it, right? So that it's yours and nobody else's.
One of the biggest perceptions that people make is like, okay, well, you know what, let me give you an idea. Floyd Mayweather, y'all see him wear that TMT,
Mhm.
the money team. He was selling that, everybody was buying it. He didn't have a trademark. If any is, and people assumed that he had a trademark. Anybody in here could have actually trademarked that logo, the money team, and Floyd Mayweather had to be paying you guys to use that.
You-
Or
you- you
you
missed
have to
it.
change it.
Yeah,
So literally, again, that's what I'm saying, just because you got money don't mean you no business.
right.
That's true.
You follow me?
That's what happened to what's his name when he sang, this is how we do it.
Well, that's something different.
He didn't, what you
Again,
call
but
it?
yeah, but again, like I
And-
said, you don't assume to see what it is. He just actually came up with a little logo and it's TNT. You know what I mean? And then literally because of his popularity, it went viral and whatever the case may be. Literally, what you do, guys, is you have people that are sitting around their computers. When they see something nice on social media,
Find
and they're
domain.
finding domains and they're finding if that is registered or trademark. And if it is not, guess what? They're gonna buy it.
I had a friend that.
That's their business model.
That's it. That's their business model.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever wondered why certain companies don't have the URL of just their company name? Because somebody else went out and bought it first and they hold
And
it
then
hostage.
they got the price. Go ahead, Tamika.
I was gonna say, isn't that something that happened with the football team in Washington when they were looking for them?
Well, what happened with that was they literally, there was already a Commanders, it was a basketball team. And what it was is that the Commanders, even though
Generals was basketball
the
team.
Generals was a basketball team, they wanted to be the Generals. And they did not, even, and here's the thing, they haven't even used that trademark or whatever for forever, you know? But theoretically, they, for whatever reason, they didn't want to give it to, they didn't want to sell it, you know, so they had to go from the Generals to the Commanders. You know what I mean? They should have, you know what I
I thought
mean?
that was a great.
I thought it was
Yeah.
great too.
Old school, right?
But to your point, your trademark is with you. You follow me? You just gotta make sure you continue to stay on top of it, because again, it has a shelf life. You just gotta continue to keep it up, you know, updated or whatever.
But it could be a legacy if you ever get
Oh,
that.
they're totally.
That's right. Like Barbara.
They can totally be a legend.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's funny about the Generals, talking about brand recognition, y'all know who the Generals basketball team is, right?
I have no idea.
That's the team the Harlem Globetrotters plays against
It is.
every game. So
Yeah,
that's
it
who
is.
actually owns that trademark.
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
You got a lot, like some people are on your chat.
You got people, you got people.
We got questions we got questions in the chat.
Oh, the math lady just said she would like to introduce her business before we leave tonight. And then,
Okay, I've got just 5 more minutes, and we're gonna have to. Because I want to be respectful of your time, and I want to make sure we leave some time at the end to have for questions. But what's the most important? And we talked about this earlier too. We talked about two of the primary reasons for marketing. What's the primary reason for marketing? At the end of the day,
translate to dollars, right?
Sales.
revenue generation.
Yeah. I thought.
If your marketing is not translating to revenue, you're doing something wrong. Okay, you need to reevaluate. Now, all the things that we've talked about to this point are the basis for what we call your go-to-market plan. Okay. Your go-to-market plan, your go-to-market strategy is a plan that specifies how you'll present your product's unique value prop so you can economically reach your customers and gain a competitive advantage, right? So your GTM strategy is a roadmap for launching your product or service. Okay. Some people will call it a product roadmap, is a little different. That's around development. But your go-to-market strategy, again, will evolve over time, right? But your go-to-market strategy takes all of these things that we talked about tonight into account. And that's what you use as your roadmap. So again, we talked about budget. Once you create that budget, that your budget is what your budget is. Now, you might reallocate some of that budget based on how you're marketing at certain mediums, right? Like, for example, we start talking about, and this is a whole nother rabbit hole. We start talking about email and SMS marketing, because a lot of that requires you to collect data, which, by the way, if you're not collecting data at every event you go to, at every event where you're making your product or service available, if you're not collecting data, you're missing the mark.
What is the best way to collect data? Like what application?
Now you're gonna have to go down this rabbit hole. So wait, but it's pretty simple, right? So one of the things that I've done is you can go out on you can use an application like Job Forms, right?
Okay.
You can create a web form and on that web form, you can ask people's email address, you can ask for their mobile number, you can ask for their consent to send them text messages or emails. Right now, if you want other information, you can ask for it, but those are the primary things you want to ask for. And that Job Form, what it'll do is it'll basically put that data in a list that you can either extract from that and put it into some other platform to manage, or you can keep it there, right? Now, what's the value of that? Now, there's also some other, like if you want to ask them, which product, if you want to have a drop-down box in that form that says, what's your favorite product that you're offering? You're offering gift basket. You like the basic basket, you like the advanced basket, you want the premium, or you want the big daddy basket. Which one do you prefer? Right? Knowing that information, knowing those demographics around your customer base will help you make later decisions on what products to offer, what products you should expand on versus which products you shouldn't expand on. Sales is not your only indicator of whether a product is successful or not. A lot of times the product is not marketed properly to make people aware of it. The more you know about your customer base, the more you know about your customer demographics, the more you'll understand about how to promote certain products through your business. Okay. Because we can talk about that. Data collection, that's my background. Data. We can talk about that for an hour by itself.
Could you provide a handout with some suggestions next week?
So I'm gonna try. I knew that was gonna come up. I'm gonna translate a lot of this information into a deck that Tamika or Jesse will send out.
Okay.
So everybody can kind of have these as kind of notes to refer back to, because my notes are just a big outline right now. You don't want my notes. But that's probably a good stopping point because we are sitting at 8:15. Math lady, you got your microphone situation worked out?
Yes, sir. Thank you for being patient while I worked out my connectivity issues. Appreciate it very much.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is your visual on there?
All right. Well, my name is Sandra Carter. I'm known as the Math Lady. That is my service mark that I obtained from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And my marketing tagline: we move young people from fear to ferocity, from pain to power, and apathy to academic excellence in math, physics, and chemistry. So, of course, we tutor math. I have started the business 20 years ago, and I moved from just me tutoring to hiring college students and recent college graduates to help me with the tutoring. And I've also hired New Mercy's members to help with tutoring and tutored many, many students at New Mercy's. We have a book entitled How to Help Parents and Kids Get Over Their Fear of Math that was used in our church's grant program for the children back in 2018. Also have a video, the Math Lady DVD, and an SAT math boot camp that I wrote. And based on the scores from our students, they've improved their SAT scores in math from anywhere to 50 to 90 points.
Man, wow.
You have a child who needs math, physics, or chemistry tutoring? Here for you. Give me a call. I'll put my website in the chat. Thank you.
One question for you. The math.
Yes, sir.
Trademark.
What's the question?
Is your title the Math Lady trademark?
That's service mark, yes. The math lady is service marked with the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
Service mark, meaning that she has permission to use the mark, you know, and again, like I said, if she was to trademark it, she shows that she has the usage before anyone else, you know, so yeah. Why she was trademarked? Well, it is.
Yeah.
So no, you can't go out and call yourself a math lady.
All right.
And there are plenty of math ladies, and I have the right to sue them if I want to in the United States. If they were making any money, I would consider suing them if I had proof of that.
There you go. So now Beverly Nance says, she's on the chat. She says, I use Fiverr for creating my designs. I draw my creations and then recreate with multiple, they'll create them with multiple revisions at a limit until they get the one that's right for them. You just gotta get the right design. Yeah, they'll.
Yes, that I use Fiverr for my product, Tabby D's, my decorative wallet tabs. I managed to get an excellent designer, and I've been sticking with that designer for the past 5 or 6 years. And you just gotta get the right person. And they do excellent work, and they're reasonably priced, depending on what you want them to create for you.
It's a great hustle for a graphic designer, right? Or for people who generate websites.
Oh, yeah.
Even people, a lot of these people work for different corporations. They're just doing this as a side hustle. Ronnie has a great one he uses quite frequently to create logos.
Fiverr person that he uses.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, you find one, you know, you stick with them, you know, they go for, I mean, very cheap, very cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
So no, I was gonna say, do yourself a favor and at least check into that, right? There's different websites, and I'll reference a lot of them in the deck when I put it together. But you know, when we talk about building out a buyer persona, there's websites that will help you map out buyer personas. There's websites that will help you create your go-to-market plan. There's websites that will help you. I mean, there's low-cost options around building your brand like Fiverr. I have a MailChimp account that I use for my business, and I also use it for earning other stuff where I can send out. Because here's the thing to understand: you can't send out mass emails from your personal email account because they'll all get marked spam. Right? You have to do it through an email service provider like a MailChimp or a Constant Contact, one of those. Again, another rabbit hole we can go down a different day.
You mentioned Jot Form. Is it free or is it?
Absolutely free. You can use, so all of those websites have a free version. And then if you want to do more advanced things, yeah, you can pay for add-ons, right? I mean, on all of these sites, with the exception of MailChimp, but you have to pay for MailChimp at some point. I think I pay like $25 a month for MailChimp. And until I put more than 1,000 people in it, I don't have to pay for it anymore. Right? But Jot Forms, these other sites, I use the free versions of all of those. And you can get everything that you need. Of course, like Fiverr, it's not really a free version because you're paying a freelancer to do some work for you. But there's all low cost, there's a lot of low cost options. What I would challenge everybody to do is take the information that I shared with you tonight, go out and research it a little bit on the internet and expand upon it and start figuring out ways that you can apply these things, right? So, and we'll talk at a later date about, we'll start talking about execution, right? Because I wanted to get the execution tonight, but the time just didn't allow for it. So we'll talk about execution at a later date. The one thing I will leave you with is your best low-cost option for initial execution is going to be social media. Right? Because it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can be as expressive as you want out there. The cool thing about social media, even if you want to create like your own commercial, you can go out on YouTube. I mean, I know people who are using the iPhone 12, 13, 14 to do some amazing production work. Between that and using the Movies app on the MacBook, doing some amazing production work just on their own and on their own homes. Putting it out there as a commercial. Now all of a sudden, if you want to do advertising on Instagram, you can go out and pay for those ads. You can use that video as your commercial. People are getting whole record deals because of the work they're putting out on YouTube. People are getting all types of YouTube and social media that's your new marketing department now. That's how you create your brand. That's how you create your brand presence. Now, I'll say this and I'll shut up. Like I love marketing. I've done it my entire career, so I can talk about it all night. But when you make the decision to get out there and start promoting your brand, make sure you have constant and fresh content. Don't just go out there with one post and expect that to live for you forever. You got to keep your content fresh, and real quick, you got to talk to somebody like a Jess, somebody a little younger. who knows how to help you understand the hashtags you need to put on your post so that they pop up when people are searching for particular brands or services. Because that's how you reach the people you don't know.
Are there people that they can pay to handle their social media?
Absolutely.
Like the emails that come in, keeping it fresh.
Well, now, yes, to answer your question, yes, but the other piece of that too is you have to have some activity in order to keep content fresh. They gotta have something to take videos of. They gotta have products to take pictures of. They gotta have, there's no magic bullet to, I go out and hire Jesse and all of a sudden, boom, he gonna take off with my social. I ain't gotta do nothing. No, that's not the case. Now, he can make it where I have to do very little and where he'll do the majority of the work because he understands that better than I do, because that's what his generation has kind of grown to do. That's what they've made. A lot of them making a living doing that. But I still got to help them out by providing something. You gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you a question. How, I mean, being in marketing, how often does a business need to post on social media to be effective or reach a targeted goal or a targeted audience?
It depends on the business, right?
Yeah.
It heavily depends on the business, and it depends on what you're trying to do. Now, if you're just pushing products and services, if you're just pushing products, then, you want to post, maybe a couple times a week, maybe once a week. It's about new products or new location. You want your post to always have a purpose, right? But however, if you're managing events, like say you're managing like sporting events or you're managing social events, you want to post sparingly initially, because what you don't want to do is saturate your base. And what I mean by saturate your base, you can market to people so much they start ignoring your content, right? But you want to post sparingly at first, and as you get closer to an event, you want to start posting more and really pushing that event. Like say you're getting ready to run, say you're getting ready to put out a bunch of 7-on-7 tournaments. So you're gonna run 5 7-on-7 tournaments next year. You're gonna start out hashtagging those people that would be interested in that first, right? So what you want is when somebody goes out and they're like, hashtag 7-on-7, and show me 7-on-7s. If you've hashtagged your post all of a sudden now pop up to those people you don't know. That's how you gain new followers, right? You put your initial schedule out there first, right? Hey, we're gonna be in these cities on these dates, right? And then you start promoting the business and what you're doing, right? And the closer you get to that first event, the more you're gonna post about that event. Hey, can't wait to see the people in Savannah. Hey, can't wait to see the people in Charleston. Can't wait to see, we're gonna have some amazing athletes. So it really depends on the business. It depends on the events that you're marketing, and it depends on the time frame and time of year too. That's also important, because what you don't want to do is try to fight against Christmas, right? You don't want to try to fight against Christmas. Anyway, I gotta shut it off because I can, like I said, I can talk about this all night. So any other questions before we shut it down for the night? Any questions from the web? All right, folks, thanks for I hope this was helpful. Thanks for your time.
And very quickly, and I'll also send out an email about this, but the Crown Jewels Women's Ministry will be going to their women's conference, I believe it's in August. And they reached out to the business community with a marketing opportunity for everyone. So what they're trying to do is, one, like I said, provide a marketing opportunity where they're trying to maybe sponsor like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Basically just to help alleviate some of the financial burdens on some of the other women, but also just to get your product in front of some of these women. They're expected to have about 300 to 400 people attend this business. Attend the conference. So if you would like to make or if you'd like to sponsor or make a donation to them, I will send out that email tomorrow. Like I said, just as some quick information, but I think tier 1 is like $75. Up to like tier 3, which is like $200. So I'll send the information out to everybody just to, that's an opportunity for you to get your product, like I said, in front of maybe 300 to 400.
And the funny part about that is if I got further in my content, it was gonna be around cheaper ways to get into print ads, right? And to get into print marketing. That's through events like that, sponsorships and things like that.
No, no, I understood.
Oh, okay. All right, guys, y'all have a good night. Yep, you too. Oh, somebody gonna pray us out?
Unique selling proposition. You are.
No, because even when you teach it, I pray us out. All right, so don't.
Father, we just want to thank you for the things in which we actually were able to hear, Father. Thank you for the seeds that were planted, Father. I ask that you allow us to produce the fruit in which we are actually seeking, Father. I ask that you touch every person that's here, even those who are actually not able to make it, oh Lord. I ask that you continue to bless them, bless the people that are around them. Father God, ask that whatever it is they're doing in their life, Father God, turn their stumbling blocks into stepping stones. We ask these and whenever we bless in your name, say, amen.
Amen.
You got a great opportunity. Again, that's a huge benefit.